Hi everyone, welcome to our Facebook Live on spotting and avoiding financial scams. My name is Nikki Wetzel. I am the Director of Communications and Advancement here at Prosperity Connection. In case this is your first time joining us or first time hearing about us, we are a local St. Louis nonprofit that helps St. Louisans build the confidence, knowledge, and skills to enhance their financial well-being. So we do that through completely free financial education and financial coaching. And we do these Facebook Lives pretty regularly throughout the year to cover some interesting topics that maybe we don't always cover in our core services. And so again, today we're talking about spotting and avoiding financial scams. We know scammers are getting smarter. There's new scams, it feels like, multiple every day. So we wanted to talk about some of the most common ones, maybe some red flags we can look out for, things we can do to avoid them, and then unfortunately maybe we fall victim to them, maybe some things that we can do to get out of that. So joining me today, I have Tiffany Sanders and Robert Nelson. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves in just a quick second. One last reminder, our chat is open. Please, if you have questions, if you have concerns, things you've seen, things you're curious about, please, please, please pop those in the chat. Hi Bernadette, thank you. Glad you're joining us. I do have just 3 questions that I'm going to walk through with them. I think it will lead to a lot of really rich discussion, but we would love to hear from you. So on that note, Tiffany, you want to take a sec to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks so much for having me, Nikki.
Yes.
My name is Tiffany Sanders. I am actually the branch manager of US Bank located in Edwardsville, Illinois, right outside of the SIUE campus. So glad to be here today to share some best practices to help you protect yourself and maybe even your family members by just sharing some of the things that you learned today. So feel free to invite others out to connect with us so you can help as many people as you can. Thank you so much. Turn it over to you.
What's up, everyone? I'm Robert Nelson. I'm the director of coaching here at Prosperity Connection. Been on the team for it feels like forever, but since
That's a good thing, right?
oh yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Since 2017, started as a financial coach, and now I'm in a director role. So just here to lend my expertise, be able to chat with you all. Hopefully, have a good conversation here, and happy to be here.
So, all right, let's get rolling. Okay, so first question. It's a big one, so take it wherever you want to go. What are some of the most common financial scams you have each seen respectively in your lines of business, your expertise? And if you've got a specific story, feel free to please share that with us too.
Okay. I'll go first. One of the ones I've been a branch manager for the past 17 years, so have seen so many different scams. So one of them I like to tell you guys about is the romance scam, sometimes also called the dating scam. With this particular scam, the person normally reaches out to the person online, normally through a social media or any type of dating app and things of that sort, and they'll make connections. They text message, they text, they talk back and forth over weeks or months periods, and they normally never even see each other, but out of nowhere they'll eventually ask for funds and ask them to send them money for emergencies or medical bills, things of that sort. So that's one of them I really
So
like
kind
to
of
share.
turns on the empathy. Oh, something's wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay, so it's not just like give me money because you love me. It's like, ooh, all of a sudden the thing's gone wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And you've made that connection over that period, so you think this is someone you're in a relationship with,
Yeah.
so you actually fall for it. So that's one of the ones I would share.
That is playing the long game. Get invested in people, and they learn their lives,
Yeah.
learn. They're like, well, I know you got your thing going on, but I'm really dealing with this, and I can't wait till we meet. And if you could just send me it, and people would just send their whole lives away
Exactly.
and not even know who's on the other end of that computer.
Exactly.
So I think some of the ones I've dealt with, probably one of the bigger ones we deal with at Prosperity Connection is probably identity theft in the form of either through family or in the form of either through like giving your information away without knowing. So sometimes when we pull folks' credit reports, we'll see that, oh, you have a collection on here for Ameren, and then the person will disclose, oh, I've never lived on my own before. I've never had an Ameren bill before. In a lot of cases, stuff like that happen because family members take advantage of folks, and whether it's because they needed the service or not, I'm not gonna get into the logistics, but ultimately it happens, and that's one of the things we try to look out for a lot. And then we see things from um, predatory lending to home buying options that are not the most reputable, and it's so many out there
Yes.
that we just run into.
Yep. I feel like we just heard a story the other day. One of our colleagues was in line at a FedEx and heard a story about someone who like went through what they thought was an entirely legitimate home buying process, and they went to the house they thought they bought, and there was someone living. They're like, "This is my house. Like, what are you doing here?" So I know we've seen that, and I know you mentioned identity theft. From the brief time I spent as a coach, I learned and was horrified to realize that kiddos are actually one of the most common victims of identity theft, and it's most commonly from family members, whether immediate or extended family. So yeah, sorry, I just thought of those couple of things. What else do you have, Tiff?
I would the
Can I call you Tiff? Sorry, I just kind of did that off the cuff.
Yes,
Tiffany, I'm sorry.
Hey, you can call me Tiff. Another one would probably be the employment offer scam.
Ooh, okay.
So nowadays, a lot of people are applying for jobs online and things of that sort. So you hear those stories of the person, oh, I got this check from my job. So then I'll ask them, did you do any work? You know, how many times do you ever go to work and get paid before you ever start on your first day? So does it make sense? Ask yourself, you know, does this really make sense? So before you take those checks and put them in your account, looking at the full picture. So the employment scam is when they have you fill out information. So you're giving all of your personal information. You think you actually have a job. They may even send you a check to buy equipment for the job and then ask you to send money back. After that, later on, there's no legitimate job. You've given all your information and you don't have a job. They may promise high pay.
Yeah.
They may promise work from home. They may promise all of these perks and benefits that really lure you in, but it's
Yeah.
not legitimate. So that's one.
You
that I-
had that happened to a client specifically, right?
That from the coaching side. So you've seen it on the banking side.
Right.
I've seen it on the consumer side. I had a client who applied for a job off LinkedIn, and this is before LinkedIn. I think they now have a little bit more security
Okay.
around their job and the applying process. But before, when they kind of just started that platform, it was kind of a free for all. And one of my clients applied for a job on LinkedIn, and she was so excited, and she's like, "Yeah, I just did the interview." Like, once again, play the long game. If y'all haven't figured out, people are willing to play the long game
Yeah.
to interview somebody 2 times and like just go through the whole process for it to be fake.
So it's not even like it's super obvious, like, hey, we haven't even interviewed you yet. Here's a job. Like, you're actually going through what feels like a really legitimate
Absolutely.
process. 2 interviews. Oh, Lord.
If we think about how the experts get away with it, is there is two goals in mind: either to get you vulnerable and frantic, or to get you to let your guard down. One of the biggest things that get us to let our guard down is something that matches what we're used to.
Okay.
So if the process look different from what we're used to, that's going to raise a red flag. But if I interview you, you've interviewed before, jobs interview.
Yeah.
If I make you submit a resume, jobs make you submit a resume. All these things are tactics to get you to let your guard down. And over time, they wear you down. And you're like, oh, it's good, because what they're really trying to do is get you to the place where when I ask to steal your information, to steal money from you, it's not going to sound crazy because you now trust me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this sense with her, she went through the whole process: applied, application, interview, filled out Missouri W-4, like the whole
Everything,
nine
yes.
yard. And she came to the coaching session, and she unfortunately had to deal with the ramifications. So she told me after the fact. She said, "Well, they sent me a check. They said it's a work from home job, and they're going to pay for my equipment. Everything I'm going to have is Apple. They sent me a check." And the check, they said, deposit this into your bank account and then take this money and go get Apple gift cards. We'll use these gift cards to purchase your equipment.
Exactly.
And it sounded fishy when she explained it to me. But once again, their goal is to get your guard down. So when I ask this, it doesn't sound crazy. Her guard is completely down. She's done the application, she's done the interview. She's thinking, well, this is just kind of how they do it. Like, okay. And so she does it. She put the checks in her account, and it was some lofty amounts. And she went and got Apple gift cards and sent it to them, and then heard nothing from them. And those checks did not clear her account.
Okay.
Her account went negative, like severely negative, thousands of dollars. And unfortunately, some of the ramifications she dealt with, I basically explained to her like, okay, we can dispute this as fraudulent. I'm like, now depending on what they'll do after that is up to the financial institution. I'm like, I will let you know if they determine, okay, yes, this is fraudulent. We'll take care of it. Now, a lot of cases, if you deposit that check, they might not be as quickly to and you can speak to that on the bank side, but they might not be as quickly to refund their money or to be on your side. But even if they do, depending on the loss that bank is taking from doing that, they can terminate the relationship with you. And then you can also have suspected fraud on your check systems report, which will let other banks and credit unions know that you had a fraudulent situation, which could potentially cause them not to want to work with you either.
So there's like cascading effects.
Yeah.
And can you explain the technicality? Like, okay, so they've sent a check. What is it about depositing it in your account that then lets them access it and like withdraw your money? Like, what is happening in the ether or whatever that is allowing them that they now have access to your account?
So actually, they use the person as a mule. So they use the person
Okay.
to do it. So the person that's the scammer is not doing it themselves. They're
Oh,
having
okay.
the person who thinks they're getting the job go in,
Okay.
make the deposit, make the withdrawal, do all the transactions for them, and then they're missing.
Okay.
So what you have to be careful of out there is when you put something in your account, anything that's done on your account, you're responsible for it. So
Okay.
don't take checks from anyone. Be really careful about making deposits on checks that you're not familiar with or aware of. So yeah, that's
Okay.
how they do it. Yeah.
Worked in banking, one of the things I would advise people, ask the teller, do you think this check is good? Do you think it's a good check? There are systems for folks in banks to verify the where that check came from. Now they're not always super accurate, but you're getting the advice of the expert who does this on a day. And just for folks who may not know how this works, a lot of financial institutions, the tellers have buy-in to your check being cleared because they get penalized when they take in a bad check. So I don't want you to deposit this check no more than you do if it's fraudulent. So by saying, hey, I got this check, but I think it's kind of funny, that teller's gonna do their due diligence before putting it in your account to figure out, is this check okay? Is it funny? And then in worst case scenario, if they feel like it is still funny and you still want to deposit, they will put it on an extended hold. You want that extended hold.
Okay.
Because what'll happen is if that check does not go through, then they was holding the money anyway. You never got it. So it's just a wash. Your money don't get taken. Still might be some ramifications like suspected fraud, but at worst case scenario, your money doesn't get stolen.
Right. And then you can kind of tell your story, so you don't really the customer doesn't take a loss in that situation.
Yeah.
So that is a good best practice. So if you aren't comfortable, they can place that additional hold on there if you're unfamiliar, and then you don't have to worry about that loss. Like that.
People hate holds. I'm just saying it's right.
But it's for your protection.
It is. It's there to protect you.
Any others that we want to talk about?
I think there's another one, probably the lottery scam.
Okay.
Where they receive those checks as if they won the lottery. Usually,
That's so wild.
yeah, it's crazy because they'll usually request them to pay taxes or send some
Okay.
funds back. But you have to think again, if I won the lottery, why do I have to pay you before I receive my winnings?
Yeah.
So does it make sense? So that's probably another one
Okay.
that I would say. Have you ever experienced that with any of your clients?
I have not seen it in that sense, but I have had people who like won money or won things, but they have to pay
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, or fill out a form that wants all of your personal information.
Yes.
Yeah.
The risk part in it is that with technology being so prominent in the world we live in,
Yeah.
it's involved in every step in our lives. All of that opens all of us to risk all the time.
Exactly.
So anytime we're dealing with technology, rather it be like, oh, you want something, or like a random email that came through and you click the link, it's like, oh, this is just a rubber duck bouncing in water. Exit. You don't know that person just got access to your computer because you
Exactly.
clicked the link.
Exactly.
So it's so many things that can happen, and it's a lot of it is surrounding electronics and technology.
Yeah, yep. I know this is getting a little into the like red flags and like how to avoid, but I literally just had that come to my mind this morning. I was forwarded an email from a coworker of mine. She had gotten an email about an opportunity for us, and it looked fairly legit, but we just always have to be so concerned. So, and the two things that you could click on were just hyperlinked. So I like took a moment. I went just to Google and I like searched the company, and it looked very legitimate. And the Calendly link that had been, that's how you can like schedule meetings with folks, that had been in my email, that Calendly was on their website with the person who sent the email. So instead of clicking it in the email, I just went ahead and like scheduled the appointment through through the website and through Calendly. So just even though now I feel fairly confident that that email was legitimate, I would just rather not click the link and try to like go out around and find another way to make sure it's legit.
Good job.
Absolutely.
I love that. Always protect yourself.
Vigilant, constant vigilance.
Yes. Yes.
Anything? I know, Robert. I feel like you had maybe one more that you did. You have one more that you want to talk about? Sorry. Credit.
Yes,
Yes.
we do have some great stuff here. I have four of them, like, yeah, so credit is also another place with a lot of times in our space we deal with people who use other credit professionals, and not all the cases are people who do like credit work, credit coaching, credit repair are reputable. So that's also something you want to be cautious about. Our biggest rule here, and this just could be because I'm biased because I work here. I always say never pay anybody to help you with your credit. It is way too many places doing it for free, especially us, and you don't have to pay someone to do it. So, and people will have you pay, and not all the cases is it, like I said, reputable. So there are some places where they'll have you pay every month, like, oh, it's $200 a month, $150 a month, and all they're doing every month is disputing everything on your credit report. When it comes back, they just dispute it again. When it comes back, dispute it again. And I'll have clients like, oh yeah, I've been working with them for 5 months, and then I look and their credit has not changed at all. And I'm like, we've been paying them $150 for 5 months. We could have been putting that on your credit. Like,
Yes.
we could have been paying stuff off, getting stuff taken off. Like, it's so many other things we could have been doing with $150 a month other than paying them. So you want to be very cautious of that. Ultimately, I say don't pay anybody. But if you just like, Robert, I'm itching to pay somebody to work on my credit, please make sure you vet them and you look through their process, look up reviews, Better Business Bureau, Google. It's all out there. You can see people who've used their services before. But ultimately, don't use any of them. Come to Prosperity.
Shameless plug. Kristen chimed in, and I think maybe this might lead into your last one.
Okay.
She mentioned a grandparent scam. So receiving a call from your grandchild in trouble or in an emergency and needing money wired. So again, kind of playing on that empathy, that vulnerability, like, oh, it's my family,
Yes.
kind of thing.
And Kristen, that was my next one. Actually, elder fraud. So we do see that a lot, where you see that grandparent coming in and their grandson may have called and reached out and said, "Hey, I have an emergency. I need money." So one thing that I do at the bank is just ask the grandparent, "Have you actually called them on their cell phone?" Because a lot of times they, try to reach out to them different ways. So just making sure that they've done their due diligence to reach out and actually speak to them to make sure that it's actually the person that they think it is before they're
Yes.
sending. Because a lot of times they'll say there's an emergency, or maybe someone would call and say their grandson is in trouble. We need you to
Yeah.
send us money so you can help them get out. So just making sure that you are doing, just stopping. Don't let them rush you, because a lot of times in the elder fraud cases, they try to make it a sense of urgency and make it an emergency right now. So I would say stop, take your time, check fact check, make sure everything is legitimate before you send anything. So that way you take that extra precaution to help yourself, protect yourself and your funds.
And is it, in your experience, is it their actual grandchildren like abusing them, or is it more often someone impersonating the family member?
Most of the time it's someone impersonating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be heartbroken if
Yeah.
it's actually family members.
And sometimes you do have that case
Yeah.
where family members, and that just hurt your heart that,
Yeah.
family members would take advantage of their
Mhm.
family. So that's something that you have to look at also, as you get older, making sure you find someone that you can trust to
Yeah.
help you with with your finances. But most of the time it's someone that's
Yeah.
portraying to be that relative.
That's why power of attorneys are so important, especially when you get in like senior age for kids and seniors. Those are probably our most vulnerable populations.
Yes.
And it sucks because I see them being taken advantage of
All the time.
often.
Well, you made me think when you said elder scam, you went one direction. My head kind of went to the other. So my dad does happen to be a senior. He's in his young 70s. And thankfully he is vigilant, and even when he's not sure, he like calls me and asks because he knows the work that we do. But he's had several phone calls in the last honestly ever since I think he joined like AARP, like reached that threshold. He's gotten so many random calls, people wanting his social security number because he like owes taxes or something like
Yes.
that. And oh shoot. Well, if I think of the other example, I may interrupt later and read it, but he's had at least 2 or 3 in the last year that like honestly sound fairly legitimate, and kind of you loved your point earlier, Robert, about the 2 things they kind of prey on, getting us panicked and worried. That's definitely the one I see with the elder scams. If my dad was a less calm, less level-headed person, he probably would find himself getting wait, what's going on? Because he's had several, like I said, fairly legitimate sounding phone calls. I wish I could think of the other example, but I know one was like, you've got back taxes, or your social security is messed up and you're not going to get your check, you may owe a bill. So they wanted his social security number and all this stuff, and thankfully he didn't do that. But I know that that's happening too. I think people make a lot of assumptions, especially older adults right now, like boomers, not necessarily like the stereotype being not necessarily tech savvy. So I think that they take a lot of advantage of that and cause a lot of panic trying to get personal information that way.
And
too.
I'll just piggyback off that, Nikki. And they try to scare them, so they try to call them and they try to be a little aggressive and things of that sort. Because I do have, my mom will be 80 this year, so she'll normally call me as well. So just having those conversations. I'll just tell her, just ignore them. If your bank, if you haven't, talked to anyone from the bank, don't, respond and things of that sort. So yeah, just truly protecting our elders against that, and then having that second person to be able to call. I think that's great. So that's great that your dad is able to call you. So love it.
One piece of advice I always give folks in that situation. I say, so first of all, you got to think about the nature of the call. The taxes one is my favorite because one fact that a lot of people who get caught in that situation completely miss: when in life has the IRS ever called you? They send letters. So if somebody's calling from the IRS about taxes, I notice they don't call anybody.
Exactly.
You can't get them on the phone when you call them. So I know they're not calling me because they obviously don't have phones. So if somebody's like, oh, I owe taxes, IRS call, they typically send letters.
Yep.
You know that. But then sometimes calls do seem legitimate. It sounds like this might be from my bank. It sounds like it might be the IRS. I always tell them, hang up, go get the actual number from Google, or like get the number. Like if it's your bank or credit union, don't call that number back. Call the number you normally call. Hey, I just got a call from one of your representatives saying blah blah blah. Is that true? And then you know that you're talking to the right people, and they can let you know.
Yep. I love that. We're going to segue into probably questions 2 and 3 kind of simultaneously, wanting to be respectful of time. But just one last reminder that if you have a question about maybe a specific scam you've heard about, or hey, like, is this suspicious? Like anything that you can think of, please feel free to put that in the chat. So we've kind of already been doing a pretty good job of, like, as we're talking about the scams, talking about some of those red flags and like things you can do to avoid. But even if we've already mentioned it, let's take a minute to kind of maybe summarize the red flags, summarize the things to look out for.
All right, I would kind of piggyback on what you just said. Verify the source.
Okay.
Always check for red flags. So does it make sense? You know, why are they sending me money that I have to send back? Things of that sort. Securing your personal information. So
Yep.
never sharing any information with anyone about your online banking and things of that sort. I work in a college town, so I always tell my students, don't share your passwords, don't share your online usernames and passwords, your PIN numbers to your debit cards and things of that sort. And don't just allow someone to put checks into your account, because anything you do in that account, you're responsible for. So those are some of the things that I would share to kind of help you not fall to scams.
And one I would say is, first and foremost, if you can, either take advantage of shred days in your community and
Okay.
shred your sensitive information, or invest in a crosshair shredder. That's
Can you
one of
explain
the,
what a crosshair shredder is? Sorry.
a crosshair shredder is a shredder that not only shreds longitude but also horizontal.
So it makes little tiny
Yes.
squares like confetti.
Yeah,
Okay.
it changes the page.
I put that back together.
Right, so because if you seen the spy movies, they take the strips.
Yep.
Once again, be the game.
Yeah.
You gonna plan for you to play the long game. So you gonna piece back together. Good luck taking 1,000 years putting this confetti back together, only for it to be a.
Won't be going by then, so.
And it's gonna be a Domino's coupon. It won't even be. But just protecting your information,
Okay.
as Tiffany said, that's probably one of the biggest ones. And I just always remain cautious, not overly cautious. I don't know. We all know those people that's like, I don't spend my card at the grocery store because at that grocery store. But remain cautious about things that where everything should be questionable. Like,
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, like, does this make sense? Take a step back, listen to it, and just look for those warning signs. If someone is trying to rush you, that is trying to get you in a place where you're flustered and vulnerable, or if somebody is very intentional about getting close to you in a different manner, whether it be a, a romantic relationship. Like, think about the facts in there. Why have I never seen this person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can do video call, we can do Zoom. I've never seen them before. Are they who they say they are? Like, just always kind of question everything
Yeah.
until you know the facts for yourself. And unfortunately, that's just kind of how we have to live.
Yeah.
But I think once you get in the groove of living like that, everything is always gonna make sense, because it's like, wait a minute, hold on, let me think about this, and you can always put the pieces together. But you open yourself to a lot less risk when you do that. Another thing is checking your information online. So through emails, through social media, constantly protecting your passwords and changing your passwords when necessary. There's a website called haveibeenpawned.com. I'll make sure we put it in the chat, but it's haveibeenpawned.com. At this website, you type in your email, and this website will tell you if your email has been compromised, how many times it was compromised, and from what websites. So if you see your email was compromised through Facebook, that tells you I need to go change my Facebook password. I need to change my email password. So this is a way to stay on top of your information, because we need an email for so much now. If you want to sign up for a subscription, email. If you want to do something with your doctor's office, but literally everywhere needs an email. So that is like the gateway to a lot of our financial information.
And like, just from my perspective, kind of the example you heard me talk about earlier, like if you get something via email or via text that wants you to click a link, unfortunately, as Robert just mentioned, we have to be a little bit cynical nowadays in technology. So I always exit out, leave whatever it is, leave the email, leave the text, do a Google search like I did with the company this morning to make sure the company was legit, see if there was another way that I could schedule an appointment to talk to this person without clicking the link in my email, because unfortunately I feel like that's one of the most common things is click this link, because again, in this world, everything is hyperlinked. I mean, we do it. Like, we send out our email newsletters and things are hyperlinked, and I do promise all of those are legitimate. But like, we're just so used to it that it's so easy to be like, oh, boop, boop, boop.
Exactly.
And then they're in.
You just reminded me, Nikki, when you get a link on a computer, one thing I was taught from our internet security class, you hold, well, not hold, but if you hover over the
Ooh,
link, it'll show you the true hyperlink behind. So without going super deep, the blue hyperlink shown, somebody can make that whatever they want. So they can make it facebook.com and it actually be their random link that leads them to the website for them to steal your identity. So a lot of people say, oh, it's Facebook, click it, and then get their identity stolen or get scammed. But if you hover over it, don't click
without
it.
clicking. Yep.
Without clicking, just hover over it with the cursor. It'll show the actual link behind what you're clicking. Then you can look at that address and say, I don't know what this is. I'm not clicking that.
Exactly.
Kind of to piggyback off of that, the other really telltale thing is the actual email address. So a lot of times, I'm going to use you as an example, like my email might pop up that it's from Robert Nelson, but I had this happen a lot at my last job. Somebody had somehow hacked the CEO's email, so it looked like it was from Robert Nelson, but the email was really weird. It was like, I need you urgently. You need to go out and like get these gift cards or something like that. So obviously that's a little suspicious, but exact same practice. If you hover over the email address, it will show you what actual email it's coming from instead of just the name. And so many times there's just like one letter different. It might be Robert Nelson. No, like they switched the N and the O or added a number or something. And so you can always check that as well.
Yeah.
So we are right at 31 minutes. I want to open the floor. Any last comments from your perspective at the bank and from our perspective here at PC? If someone unfortunately becomes a victim of one of these scams, let's end on maybe what are some quick things they could do to maybe help pull themselves out.
Okay, I'll end on the banking note.
Yeah.
We allow you to use your mobile app, so I would say use your app, go in, set alert notifications. If I go to the store, use my debit card, I know instantly what's coming out. So have those alerts set up so you're aware. You can go in and lock your card. You can either call customer service, have them put a block on your account if someone is taking funds out. Like ACHs and things of that sort. So I would say put those alerts on there.
Okay.
And then truly, like, if you were affected, reach out to law enforcement and then share this with your family and friends so that you can help someone else prevent from going through the same process that you've done. Yes.
On our end, outside of banking, if you've had any type of compromise, whether it's credit, whether it's identity, any type of those scams, if you fell victim to, first thing we always say is you gotta do an identity theft report with the FTC. If you go to ftc.gov/ID theft, you can do an identity theft report on there. Now, we'll say you have to do some research before because they're going to ask you questions. What information was compromised? How did you find out? When did you find out? So if you don't know all of that, you just know that at some point my information was stolen. Do a little digging on your own first to figure that information out. Because once you complete this report, this identity theft report, take that to your local police station, then they will give you a police report to go with that. So anything that happens in result of that identity theft, you have now your case for it to get it removed from your credit report. Then when you have those reports, credit reports give you things for free that they would typically charge for. So for instance, you can do a credit freeze on your account. Well, most credit freeze are for a year, you have to renew it the next year. When you have an identity theft report, you can do an extended credit freeze for free.
Okay.
So you can have it for a longer time because you've been a victim of identity theft. And of course, you can always do the alerts for free and things of that nature. But having those two documents is what's going to drive you regaining your identity. And actually, FTC has steps on their website. Okay, after you complete this, do this. If it's like Social Security involved, they can walk you through the steps of regaining your identity that way.
That's cool. And I'm going to do another shameless plug. If that all sounds really overwhelming, or if it's not identity theft, but it's someone else, I mean, you've already heard how coaching can help some folks. We are here. Our services are free to you. Our financial coaches can help you navigate that process and that system because sometimes they're not easy. Sometimes they're a little bit complicated. And so our coaches would love to help you. Not love to. That would be a very unfortunate situation, but they would be honored to help you out and try to help recover from identity theft or some other type of scam or fraud. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us today. I know several of you were out there. I think Bernadette said lots of good tips and examples. So thank you for watching. I'm glad you found it helpful. We will be back in It's today Thursday. We'll be back in just under 2 weeks. August 20th, we'll have another one of our amazing clients. His name is Otis, and he's going to come tell us his story and how he has used financial coaching to help him reach his financial goals and how it has helped change his financial life. So I hope to see you again then. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining us. We appreciate it so much. Thank you, Rob, as always, for your expertise, and hope to see you guys again soon.
See you.